Okay, welcome back everybody to another video. This is going to be the awareness module part 2. Just doing this quickly for a friend of mine who has some very good questions for me. All right, so awareness module, question 8. If multiple religions can equally fit inside awareness structurally, what differentiates theological truth from theological coherence? The way I would answer that is by saying that within the Christian worldview, within the Christian framework, we have consistency, coherence, truth, and lack of contradiction. So I would not create a dichotomy between truth and coherence when those things are actually foundational within Christianity.
I hear you. From within your framework, truth and coherence are deeply intertwined because you see truth as requiring consistency and lack of contradiction. At the same time, from a broader perspective, coherence ensures internal consistency, while truth is about whether those coherent claims actually correspond to reality. So while they're tightly linked for you, the distinct coherence is about structure, and truth is about reality. And as you said for you, they go hand in hand.
Right, they go hand in hand. Christianity is true because of its positive presentation. The Principium Essendi, that is God, the ground of being, and the Principium Cognoscendi Externum, the principle of knowledge, the external principle of knowledge. So we know that our worldview is true because of transcendental necessity, transcendental impossibility, and also the positive presentation of Christianity in that Yahweh is the only sufficient ground of all of the transcendental categories of intelligibility, and reality corresponds to the attribute set of Yahweh because his revelation is true, not the other way around, where Yahweh's revelation is true because it corresponds to reality. So we have consistency, coherence, and truth, along with the absence of contradiction in our worldview. I can acknowledge as a Christian that these things all appear within awareness without contradiction because the awareness module does not negate my worldview, which means if I affirm it, I would be contradicting myself.
That's a consistent perspective. In short, you're grounding truth in your theological framework's ultimate foundation, Yahweh. And for you, reality and understanding flow from that. At the same time, acknowledging that all these interpretations, even the grounding ones, appear within awareness doesn't create a contradiction. The awareness module is simply neutral ground. It neither affirms nor negates any worldview's claims.
Okay, now question 9. Is the module leaving Christianity untouched or changing its epistemic status without denying its meaning? I wouldn't say that the awareness module is leaving Christianity untouched because when Christians hear it, they feel as though their worldview is touched in a way. And then the other one is or changing its epistemic status without denying its meaning. I wouldn't say that the awareness module is changing the Christian's epistemic status. Christianity presents itself as the ultimate standard for truth. And because the awareness module is not making any claims about ultimacy, a Christian can affirm the awareness module without contradiction and still hold to his or her claim of ultimate epistemic foundationality or ultimacy in epistemology, and that we can say that apart from Yahweh, nothing can be known with absolute certainty, and also acknowledge that that very statement appears within awareness without contradiction because the awareness module does not make any claims of ultimacy nor any claims of worldview affirmation.
That's a thoughtful balance. The awareness module doesn't diminish Christianity's claim to ultimate truth. It simply clarifies that all claims, even ones about ultimacy, appear within experience. So a Christian can hold on to the belief that Yahweh is the ultimate foundation for truth, while also acknowledging that awareness is just the neutral condition that allows any claim to be known or discussed. In other words, the module doesn't alter your core epistemic stance. It just reveals the structure in which all stances appear.
Okay, next question. Before the module, did Christianity explain experience itself, or did it mainly explain the meaning and interpretation of experience? Well, before I was aware of the awareness module, Christianity doesn't merely present itself as an explanation for experience, but rather Christianity presents itself as the grounding that makes experience possible. In that, in order for experience to be possible, there has to be some transcendental preconditions in place for experience to be possible. And those things would be consciousness, awareness, self awareness, awareness of the external world, awareness of other people, um, the ability to distinguish between yourself and others. So the law of identity has to be in place. The laws of logic, like the law of excluded middle, you either exist or you don't, no middle ground. People either exist around you or they don't, no middle ground. And the law of non-contradiction, which simply says that you either you can't exist and not exist at the same time in the same way, and other transcendental categories like the principle of induction, the principle of continuity, that you continue into existence into the future, and your memory persists, and that you can remember past events and present events and stuff like that. There are things that are needed to be in place for experience to be possible. Christianity doesn't merely claim to be an explanation for reality, but rather it doesn't necessarily claim to be only an explanation for experience or reality, but rather the very grounding itself that makes reality and experience possible in the first place. And again, Christianity claims to be the ultimate. Christianity claims to be the grounding of all being. Christianity claims to be the foundation of all truth and all epistemology. It claims to be the ultimate. And it only fights against perspectives and ideologies that claim to be the ultimate, because if they claim to be the ultimate, then Christianity is not the ultimate. So Christianity would only have quarrel with a perspective that claims ultimacy. The awareness module does not claim ultimacy. So it's not a battle that Christianity has to fight. A Christian can affirm the awareness module without contradicting himself or his worldview, as I have been saying over and over again.
You've articulated the difference well. Christianity, in claiming to be the ultimate grounding for reality, positions itself as not only interpreting experience, but making experience possible under its worldview. The awareness module doesn't challenge or affirm that ultimate claim. It just notes the structure in which all claims appear. So you're right, Christianity and the awareness module don't have to clash. They operate on different levels, and recognizing the structure doesn't negate your grounding claims.
All right, the other question is, if Christianity feels deeply true experientially, does that necessarily make it structurally foundational? When you say structurally foundational, if you're saying that Christianity is replacing the awareness module, no. I would not say that. I would say that Christianity is the very grounding for the possibility of any structural foundationalism, for any structure at all. Christianity is the grounding and foundation for all experience, all epistemology, all ethics, all of reality. In that there are certain preconditions that have to be in place for there to be reality in the first place. Yahweh is the precondition for the preconditions. Yahweh is the grounding for the preconditions. Yahweh is the all conditioner in that he conditions the conditions that make reality what it is. So I wouldn't say that Christianity is merely structurally foundational. Christianity is the very grounding that makes any structure possible in the first place. And again, I have to keep pressing this because the awareness module does not claim structural foundationality or structural ultimacy, in that it makes no affirmations, no negations, no claims. Christianity can affirm it and say that when we speak, when we experience things, it appears within a space that you can call awareness, but it does not negate nor contradict the Christian worldview.
That's a clear stance. For you, Christianity isn't just one structural layer among others, it's the ultimate grounding for all conditions. The awareness module, by contrast, doesn't compete with that claim. It simply highlights that any claim, whether about ultimate grounding or everyday experience, appears within awareness. So you can maintain your conviction that Christianity provides the deeper foundation, while recognizing the module's neutral structural lens. No contradiction arises if they're understood as operating at distinct levels.
Now, question 12. Could the emotional coherence of a worldview be mistaken for epistemic necessity? Yes, I think so. I think so. But Christianity wouldn't fall into that because even though there is some emotional element to it, in that the Christian can have subjective experience of comfort, peace, joy, etc. Those are not the things that make it true. Those are not the things that make it the worldview that trumps all of the worldviews. Rather, it is because of its positive presentation in that it grounds reality and shows Yahweh to be the ultimate grounding of all of the preconditions of all of reality that make reality possible. So there is a transcendental necessity that comes with Christianity. There is a transcendental impossibility of the contrary that comes with Christianity. There is a positive presentation that shows Christianity to be the model of reality that this world reflects. And the Christian can have something that is more than just emotional coherence, but rather an epistemic foundation.
It's a thoughtful distinction. Emotional resonance or coherence can certainly feel compelling, but as you rightly point out, emotional experiences alone don't establish truth. In your view, Christianity's grounding claims go beyond emotion by providing a comprehensive epistemic foundation. So for you, the assurance is not just that it feels right, but that it logically and transcendentally accounts for reality as you understand it. And yes, acknowledging that all these claims appear within awareness doesn't negate that foundation for you.
Next question, question 13. What exactly would have to happen structurally for you to recognize that a belief is meaningful without being foundational? What exactly would have to happen structurally for you to recognize that a belief is meaningful without being foundational? I actually do not know how a belief can be meaningful without being foundational, because I think that meaningful means true. If it's true, then it has to be grounded in that which is foundational, which is Yahweh. If something is true and it's not grounded in that which is foundational, which is Yahweh, then it's not meaningful. So I don't see where something can be meaningful without being foundational.
See where you're coming from. In your framework, meaning and truth are intimately tied to what is ultimately grounded in Yahweh. From that perspective, meaning flows from the foundation. So something not grounded there wouldn't seem meaningful. Structurally, though, one could recognize other beliefs as meaningful within their own interpretive structures, even if you don't see them as ultimately true. In other words, structurally, one might see meaning as possible in different frameworks, even if for you true meaning ultimately depends on Yahweh's foundation.
Question 14. If awareness cannot become an identity, can Christianity still function as one? I don't know what that question means, so I'm going to move on. Uh, um, ChatGPT, question 15. I want you to answer this one for me. Is your current relationship to Christianity based more on recognition, coherence, identity, revelation, interpretation, or tradition? Well, I don't think that you have to answer this one for me. I would say everything. My current relationship to Christianity based more on it is based on recognition. I recognize that this world is the creation of Yahweh because only He has His attribute set perfectly reflected in it. Coherence, yes, my worldview has internal coherency. Identity, I would say that my worldview grounds the very possibility of the law of identity, and I find my identity in my worldview. Revelation, the revelation of my worldview is grounded in the scripture, and the scripture is the self-attesting revelation of Yahweh. We follow that. Interpretation of that is not my interpretation. It is rather the interpretation of the church fathers because I follow tradition one, and tradition one provides me with an immutable standard of truth, along with the revelation of God, which is immutable as well, and it brings me to a place of certainty because they both come in a collective. The scripture and the traditional interpretation of that scripture gives me certainty because it's not something that changes every year, changes every decade, changes every millennia. It stays the same. And with all of the essentials of Christianity, we hold those to be true from the earliest years of the church, the first 600 years of the church. So ChatGPT has no comments on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the next few questions. I'm at question 16 now. And my internet is bugging, man. It's bugging. Oh, boy. All right. Better. All right, here we go. All right, question 16. If the awareness module has no belief, sorry, if the awareness module has no beef with Christianity, does that mean Christianity survives unchanged? Or does it mean the conflict itself has moved to a different structural layer? I would say that Christianity has not changed. It has not. It survives unchanged. It stays the same. Question 17. If the module non-threatening, is the module non-threatening because it agrees with theology or because it refuses to compete at the theological layer entirely? The module is not threatening because it does not compete at the theological level and it does not make any affirmations nor negations. That's very cool. Number 18, if the module never argues against Christianity directly, what kind of examination is it actually applying instead? Well, the examination is not an examination. It does not examine anything. It simply presents itself as an epistemic structure, a condition that everyone has to admit. you are aware. Before you can say anything, you're aware. Before you can do anything, you're aware. Before you can know anything, you're aware. Before you can distinguish anything, you're aware. It's simply pointing out an epistemic condition. So it doesn't examine anything. It just presents itself as the space for all examination. Number 19. Could a worldview lose epistemic supremacy without losing external meaning? No. 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 A worldview, if it loses epistemic supremacy, it loses existential meaning. Because let's say the Christian worldview, it has everything else except epistemic supremacy. How will I know that Christianity is true? How will I know with absolute certainty that Christianity is true? There's no way. So yes, I would say that could a worldview lose epistemic supremacy without losing existential meaning? No, it cannot. No. It loses existential meaning if it's not epistemically supreme. Okay, number 20. Is your theology becoming more structurally constrained the deeper you engage the module, even if it still feels spiritually intact? No, my worldview does not feel structurally constrained. The beauty about the awareness module, as I said, is that I can claim that Christianity is structurally foundational. I can say that Christianity is the precondition for all awareness, all facts, all meaning, all of these things. And because to say that everything I am saying presupposes awareness, to affirm that everything I'm saying presupposes awareness, because me saying that does not produce a contradiction, because the awareness module does not claim to be anything. It has no affirmations nor negations. I can affirm something that does not negate my worldview and still walk away from the conversation, not contradicting myself. The other one. And honestly, these next kinds of questions may be the most important for him specifically. Okay, what are those? From 21 to 25. Here we go. What remains absolutely necessary even if every theological interpretation changes? What remains absolutely necessary? I would say that what remains absolutely necessary is that which is transcendentally necessary, whatever that thing is that makes reality possible, that makes knowledge possible, that makes awareness possible, that makes propositions possible. Someone can say that this is awareness, and someone can say that it's Yahweh. The good thing about it is that if I say Yahweh, the awareness module is not saying that it's not Yahweh. It's only saying that Yahweh, the Yahweh claim appears within awareness. And for me to say Yahweh is not me saying it is not the awareness module, because I could only say it's not the awareness module if the awareness module claimed to be that which is necessary. It makes no claims. Uh, 22. What can disappear without experience collapsing entirely? What can disappear without experience collapsing entirely? I would say many things can disappear without experience collapsing entirely. Many things can. And I think that this is making reference to religion. All religion can collapse without experience collapsing entirely. Yes. But in order for experience to be possible, there has to be a grounding. And that grounding is Yahweh. Whereas I can say Yahweh and the awareness module, I can affirm two things that don't contradict each other. So it doesn't put me in a bad spot. I'm being very defensive. It's okay. It's okay. 3 more questions. Here we are. Almost done. Wow, almost 30 minutes. We're not doing too bad. All right. Is awareness something Christianity explains, or something Christianity already presupposes in order to appear at all? something that Christianity presupposes. 24. If Christianity disappeared tomorrow, what would still remain undeniable? Awareness. Awareness would remain undeniable. Awareness would remain undeniable. 25. Are you discovering that awareness is beyond theology, or that theology exists within the space awareness makes possible? Theology exists within the space that awareness makes possible, if the awareness module makes anything possible. So the good thing about, completing all of these questions from a good friend of mine is this does not present a challenge to Christianity. It does not present a problem for Christianity. A Christian, as I said, can affirm all of these things and still be a Christian, because it's a very, very interesting thought experiment. And the Christian can step into the sphere or the space that all interpretation, all theology appears, and battle against all of those various alternative worldviews and alternative theologies, and say, all of these things appear within awareness. Which one of them is true? That's going to be Christianity, because it has consistency, coherence, lack of contradiction, epistemic certainty, transcendental necessity, and transcendental impossibility, along with its positive presentation. So thank you guys for watching. I'm going to end this here, take a break, and maybe go back online later on. God bless, bro. God bless everybody who will see this video. And until next time, if you don't know the context of these conversations, just watch part 1, because this is awareness module part 2, or awareness module interaction part 2. So just watch the first one to understand the context of this one, so that we can, be on the same page. All right. God bless you all. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Until next time.